let's see about getting this show on the road. A sip of coffee. Alright. Hey guys, it's been a minute since I put up a video. It's been way too long. But hopefully, I know I'm still doing like I really did to begin with. But anyways, today I just wanted to go over a kit bash that I've been working on. If you follow me on Twitter, I'm on there under KyleToon1. I'll put a link in the description. But you'll see some of my progress I've made here over time. Very long time. So we'll get into this and show you kind of a bit what I've gone through. This is a kit bash. It wasn't originally supposed to be a kit bash. But yeah, when you do something like this, you end up going down a rabbit hole at times. So the kit's parts that are in here, the base is the Age Effects Gundam, the high grade. And there's also the high grade Amazing Strike Freedom, the high grade Zeta Gundam, and then the high grade Age 2 are all the parts that are kind of mashed into this guy. So we'll kind of get through the parts here, and I guess we'll start from the head. We'll yank his head off here. And as you can probably see here, I've already taken care of the seam line on the side of this, which actually I was impressed myself. That's the best seam line work I've done, to be honest. But on this guy, it was actually pretty easy, to be honest. Let me get that out of the way. Because the way it's designed, you're able to take his whole head apart, and all these pieces and everything will come off. So you just glue these two white pieces that were the two halves and sand it down, and it's all good. So I didn't have any issue with that, because you just slap that back in, that pops in there on itself, and you can snap that back on there. So that made that pretty easy, and of course I removed the safety flags on that. But the original head is this one. And I'm still a little bit up in the air on this, but I'm kind of going with this one. But maybe y'all can leave y'all's opinion in the comments of the original Age Effects head or the Age 2's head. Not really sure. But anyways, we'll move on from there. Next is the backpack, which is a mix again of the Age Effects. This is the part from the Age Effects here, and these are the original thrusters that were on it. Small, dainty, they're not bad, but it wasn't quite working for me. I wanted something a little different, and I ended up using the Age 2's wings that are mounted onto the shoulders of him on his shoulder armor. And I thought these looked pretty neat, and this is actually originally how the kit bash started. Was I built this, and then I was just building the Age 2, and I didn't care for the Age 2 kit, so it kind of got put in the bucket to the side that I keep some spare parts in, and that's where the kit bash started from here. But pretty simple peg, so slide on there just fine, and I just cut a peg piece from some spare parts I had and glued it on there. Still kind of looks a little messy in there, but that's going to be cleaned up and painted when everything's done. But that way, still have some play in these and get some good movement out of that. So we'll set that to the side. Backpack was pretty straightforward and simple kit bashing part. Now I haven't done much on the torso here. I do have some lines drawn out, kind of hard to see with the pencil on the dark blue, but I'll be doing some panel line scribing on that, and I will be doing some across the shoulders here as well. Now there was another part that I replaced on this. As you can see here, I have a thruster that I put in. These were originally in there, and you can see they just simply sandwiched in between the two blue halves here, which are capped off by the white piece here, so there's no seam line that you can see. But they were just sandwiched up in there, and they were able to pivot around. But them hanging down on there, I just didn't care much for it. And so I fashioned these, which are simple. I have one of them for the other shoulder, it's not in there, so I got it right here. And I just took some thrusters and I carved out a hole there, a little round section. And this one still kind of got some glue drying on it, and you finish it up and clean it up. But you can see I just cut a runner, which almost fit in the holes perfectly on this. You can see off up in there on either side where they fit in there. And I just glue that in and kind of shave the edges, the ends down, so they kind of just sandwich in there, and it holds it perfectly in place right there, which will make painting and disassembly this and then reassembling it very simple. Don't have to worry about trying to mask off everything in there and trying to get paint off in there where I need it to on the white, whatever the color may end up being on this guy. So we'll sit that over there while it finishes drying. And the arms. Originally, these are the cuffs that would go on there. You see where the squared off area where these would slide on there. I might still use these, I'm not sure just yet, but I'm thinking of using these from the high grade Amazing Strike, which I think these are pretty neat. They keep a nice kind of streamlined look to things, but add a little extra bolt to it, and I think those would look pretty awesome on there. Once everything's said and done, I'll glue them on and use some putty to fill in there and make that look a lot better. But I thought those would be a nice addition on that. Still up in the air. Also on that, if you have your opinion, feel free to leave that in the comments as well. I'd appreciate it. Always constructive criticism is welcome. And I still need to work on some of my putty work. You can see where I tried to fill in the hollow points on this. That didn't quite go so well, but I'll be working on that again tonight. But I will be doing some scribing here. I haven't got around to the upper body part yet, so there's more work to go in on this. Go ahead and yank him off the base here. Don't need that anymore. Now for the waist here, these front skirts were from the Amazing Strike as well. The front skirts originally on this were these little tiny things, which are a lot of the armor that I'm taking off this is designed to hold these little funnels that he has, which these will still be used in the kit in the end. You'll be seeing these in the actual base that goes within the parts with that. But these were simple enough as well. Took off the old ones. These I just had to kind of file and sand down the ball joints that fit into the crotch here area, so they would fit in there and still be able to move around. So that was pretty simple. I'll keep the side skirts, back skirt of course, which all these will get a little extra detail added to them at the end of this. And then we'll move down here to the legs here. We'll go to this leg because I've done some scribing on this. Been working from the feet up. And since the side skirts are kind of open there, I took the time and got rid of some of the seam lines. You still see a little bit of it there. I need to finish a little work on that. But also you can see some of my scribe work I've been doing here. I couldn't find a simple way to where I could just glue these two halves as a front and back half, to where I could glue them together and just make it where I can slide on there, then peg this in. So I decided just to turn that seam line that's run down through there into a panel line, and of course add a few more details here. On these I've added around the back here, just nice and simple, nothing too crazy. And I used a 0.5 chisel, MadWorks 0.5 and a 0.2 on these. This is really the only chisels I have for the most part. And I might add a few details here to the knee. And I've done quite a bit here. And on the front of the leg here, you see down the side, hopefully it helps if I keep this thing in shot, make it a lot easier for y'all. There we go, you can kind of see it there better now. And actually there's more up underneath this piece that I scribed in, but I didn't think or realize at the time that that was going to cover it up, so that was all for naught, but hey, it was fun. And you can also see here, which I'm going to probably fill in maybe this bottom bit right in through here, because I got a little carried away that night. First time really doing any scribing myself and being serious about it on a kit. I've tinkered a little bit here and there, but I think I got a little carried away, kind of simplify this a little bit and kind of fill some of these in with some simple putty I have. And this is where a lot of the work went in on customizing this kit. Let me pop this little yellow piece off here. And these were highly modified. These parts here, both halves, were from the Zeta Gundam. I'm sure a lot of y'all have recognized those right off the bat. But originally this blue piece in here, I'll show you maybe right here. So you can see right there, it's kind of a rounded bell bottom look. And with everything being so lined and edgy on this kit, that just one rounded weird bell bottom piece just drove me nuts. Couldn't stand it. So what I did, if you can see off up in here, get the light right, you can see where I cut out a big section of the side halves of these bell bottom pieces, and I left some of the framing of them on the outside edge so I could glue and mount these on here, which is still quite a bit of a mess in there. So got some stick tack and everything. Need to clean these up a bit more, but did that on both halves. And also doing it this way without actually just fully on attaching these onto the side of the leg here. They slide on and off quite simply, so I can paint and instead of a lot less masking and everything, make things simpler. And then yeah, you can see some of the panel scribing I did around down through here that gets covered up. But another deal that was bugging me was how these feet were and how they attach off in here. If I put them back where they naturally were from the design of the kit, that would put them off down that far. You can see how much it's sticking out past all the armor, and then the original blue bell-bottom pieces on here actually came up higher, came across right through here. So it just looked weird, the foot just hanging way down there on that ankle. So on these is very simple. They had a cuff, you see about where that hole is right there? There's about a millimeter or two thick cuff just kind of sticking out around the whole deal. So I just shaved all that off, sanded it down, rounded it off and everything to match up with this. So that would just simply slide up in there further. But also in turn doing that, the peg became longer and was hitting up on the inside there, so you weren't able to pivot the foot front and back, which another easy fix is kind of lop that off and smooth that off on the end there. So now you have it fitting up in there much nicer. Also at the same time, get these pieces in there, that covering that up, and it just looks a lot cleaner. It's not hanging down about a centimeter below all the armor, and it's fitting up in there much nicer. And of course still have all the movement you would originally. But for the most part, that's kind of what I've been going through on this. The color scheme has not fully been decided yet. You can see a little bit more detail there. I kind of drew that in a little bit with the panel line marker so I can see my work a little bit there. I'm going to do both sides. Oh, and another thing. When I was doing these, I figured out a nice little trick. I don't know how many of y'all do something like this or not, which I still have the leftovers here stuck on my cutting mat, is to transfer this from one piece to make sure I had the main dimensions right, so I didn't have to measure all this out again. To transfer it over to one to the other, I just simply, taped off the main part, kind of traced it out with a toothpick to kind of find my lines easy enough, and then I just used my hobby knife to cut out the main section of dimensions, and then from there I was able to easily measure out everything, because a lot of these measurements are by the width of my scribing tape, which is a 3mm width, which is actually a pretty nice dimension for working on high grades like this that I've been finding out. And I'm probably going to order some 4 to 5mm that might work pretty nicely, I'm hoping, when I do a master grade and do some scribing on it. But yeah, just kind of trace that out, cut it, and then I just take it off, transfer it to the other piece that's mirrored. Makes it a lot simpler getting things started instead of having to sit there and measure and mark everything out so much again. This is a little trick that I figured out doing. It seems to help me out quite a bit. Makes the process a little faster and smoother. But yeah, I haven't done this thigh yet or anything, but you see where that original seam line is right there that I turn into a panel line. But for the most part, now I got a mess here and everything in pieces. I'm still working on them, it's all good. But I'm going to start hopefully getting back into doing more videos. My 2 infant children have been taking up quite a bit of my time, and one of them has some stomach issues, so he is a bit of a handful, but he's doing a lot better. So I will be doing a lot more. You'll be getting more post videos and everything here. Hopefully I'm going to try to get one every week or two, roundabout. Can't make any promises at the moment. Things can always change, of course. But I want to thank everybody that's been supporting me in this, and follow me on Twitter. They've seen some of the work and everything I've been doing here and there. And I do have a lot of new ideas. I have some other projects lined up in line. I think my next project after I finish this kit bash is, I plan on it being a little bit simpler, but we'll see how that goes, is the Master Grade Goof Custom. I've got some metal parts that I've ordered for that, and I'm still waiting on a few more to come in. But that's going to be my next project in line after this. And there will be, of course, Twitter updates, and once again, follow me on that on KyleToon1, and I'll be posting videos on as my progress goes, and hopefully I'll be able to do more in-depth, showing my panel scribing and all that stuff, and instead of just a quick overview of everything. But I took what little time I had today to do a quick video. But I hope y'all enjoyed this. I will update y'all more as the progress moves on with this. There'll probably be one more video on this kit before I finally go into paint, and it'll probably be discussing the colors I might decide on and everything in the final outlook of the product of things, and I want to take a look at y'all's comments and see what few parts y'all might decide, like on the heads and the wrist cuffs and everything. But guys, thank y'all for joining me. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and follow me on Twitter under, once again, Kyle21. I'll put a link down in the description below. And thanks for your time, guys. Y'all take it easy. Later.